Welcome everyone to the Saturday morning webinar. And my name is Judy Feldhausen, and I'm co-hosting today with my good friend and a guy who can take the cold, Bob Wischmeier.
Yeah, thank you so much, Judy. And this, we're going to be talking about these objections a little bit here today, but I wanted to, if you don't mind, Judy, I wanted to preface a couple things really quickly. My first introduction to a network marketing company was not good. And I had some people who I cared about, I liked, who came to my home, and I didn't know why they were there. And they talked to me and to Bonnie and me for a long time about all of these different things and money and wealth. And I mean, it was fun. And finally, at the end of the discussion, I was exhausted, only to find out that they were trying to get me to sign up for Amway. And I was not comfortable with it. It didn't go well, actually. At the end of that conversation, they weren't happy with me and I wasn't happy with them. And it created a real problem for me in terms of network marketing. And I suppose a lot of us have had to go through that before. But from that moment on, I felt like when I talked to anybody about a network marketing business, that people would think I was, I don't know, trying to take advantage of my friendship to get them to do something so I could make some money. So I just hated that. But with respect to Synergy Worldwide, that has not been our experience at all. In fact, when we were first introduced to the company, Bonnie had an opportunity to go down to Utah from Montana to one of their monthly meetings. I couldn't go. I was tied up with something else, but she called me from there at the Synergy building, and she said, "Bob, this isn't like that at all. This is different. These people are really nice. This is a different kind of a company. They're not talking about making tons of money and all of these wealthy things. They're talking about the wonderful products that they market, and the people are so kind." So my introduction to Synergy Worldwide, one of the first things about overcoming an objection were the people and the fact that they were product driven, Judy, not just all about money. So I just wanted to preface my conversation this morning with that experience that I had with Synergy and how much it has meant to me that we really are a product driven company more than we are a network marketing company.
Well, that's so true. And today we are going to talk about objections, because even when you are a product driven company, there are still barriers that go up when you are looking to share your knowledge to help someone live a better life. And so objections do come up. And what I like about how we overall handle objections and who the company is that there's so much transparency in Synergy Worldwide. And with what we do as a team, there's none of this hidden stuff. And, if you, then you, it's just about really working with some of these objections and finding out where people are coming from. Right? So that we can go through this process that we're going to go through today. But really, it's a discovery process more than I'm going to, if you say this, I say this.
Yeah. And this is one of the things that really differentiates our company from so many other companies. And that's the fact that we have customers and we have distributors. Customers are going to buy some product, they give you some money, they get their product, everybody's happy. It's a wonderful exchange. It's different if you want to become a distributor. If you want someone to join your team, then you need to help to train them. If you're going to bring them into your organization, and then you're responsible to train them. So you need to know how to do these little things to help overcome objections, teach them all about placement and all of those kinds of things in the company, how to use the website, etc. So this information is really, really important for any new team member or distributor we bring in, not so much for our customers, right, Judy?
That's so true. And I remember when I started in network marketing, when someone said no to me, I stopped because when I was raised, I was taught that if my mother said no, the answer is no. You don't ask again, you just go on. And so that's how I was raised. So I just thought if someone said no to me, that I was no means next, right? That's what I was taught. No means next. Yet that's not really true. No means, hey, maybe I need some more information. Maybe maybe we have some of these objections here that aren't really objections. They're just a question.
Yeah, a few years ago, a lot of us read that book, Go for No. That was an interesting read. That's a book worth looking at.
Yes. Yes. That's true.
Awesome.
That's true. So there are a lot of objections in any type of sales, and what I believe is that this slide presentation that we're doing today can be used for any type of sales, not network marketing. You could be selling, sunglasses to Eskimos, and there's still objections, and there's still ways to help people understand what they're saying no to.
You bet. You bet. So moving along. We look at these different goals. These goals, improving our end factor, our skill level, acquiring customers, attracting business builders. These goals are significant. I think this is what we're looking at. If we're trying to build a business, we got to have more positive outcomes. We need to create cash flow. We know that. That's where customer acquisition comes into play. And then, of course, from a business perspective, those basic commissions, mega matches, all of those financial factors are hugely important. So we need to keep our goals in mind as we go forward with our synergy businesses, Judy.
That's so true. And what we're doing today with Objection is helping all of us improve our skill level so that we can acquire new customers and business builders.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the motivation,
So really, what is an objection? Well, we talked a little bit at the beginning about it really being an opportunity. And it's an opportunity to get to know the person better, to know where they're coming from, and to help them believe what you believe.
Yeah, and it's not when someone questions us with regard to what we're doing, that's not that moment where you want to argue, get into an argument, throw a rock at somebody, or flee or fight or flee, that kind of a thing. Somebody's questioning me, I got to get out of here. That's not it at all. I've shared years ago. I shared an experience that I had. I was in a meeting, when the meeting got over, a friend of mine, Dr. Robert K. Bergman, who was the head administrator of the National Institute of Health Rocky Mountain Research Laboratory in Hamilton, Montana. A gorgeous place for one thing, but the lab is remarkable. And Dr. Bergman's PhD, and an old friend of mine. And this guy's brilliant. And we stood up to walk out, and he grabbed me by the arm and he says, "So Bob, tell me about this snake oil you're selling." Well, believe me, talking with Dr. Robert K. Bergman from the NIH can be a little bit overwhelming for a guy who never went to college. I worked in blue collar trades all my life, and but I wasn't the least bit concerned about it, Judy. When Kay grabbed me by the arm and made that comment, I just simply turned to him and used the information that I had learned, the skill level that I'd been taught with regard to nitric oxide therapy, and using Dr. Ignaro and Dr. John Cook and explained to my friend what it was that I was interested in, why I was interested in, not because I was trying to sell stuff and make money, but if we could clean up our vascular system and strengthen our hearts and get our blood pressures normalized, what a wonderful thing that was. And that's where, there's an objection thrown at you, but it creates that opportunity, to work on your skill level for one thing, but to kind of soften the moment, even, if you will, Judy.
Yes, and to really find a shared belief, right? I mean, both you and Dr. Bergman were really focused on health and how to improve health. And so when you have something that you can find together, you can build on that. And by building on that, you can share beliefs and see how you can really teach each other and help one another, and possibly, share more and more about the product.
Yeah, it's true. Another one of my friends from that particular lab also asked me about what it was I was doing. And I gave him Louis Ignaro's book to read. He'd read it. He asked me if I had anything else. I gave him John Cook's book to read, Dr. John Cook. And he, this particular friend, a researcher at the NIH there in Hamilton, he ordered both of those books for his library and has ordered product from me over the years many times. And this is a scientist who understood L-arginine. He understood nitric oxide therapy after reading about it. And so there was an opportunity again to just share the research with somebody and let them make up their own mind.
Right. And if someone that has that much education and that into health, we feel that, oh gosh, they probably know it all, right? Because they have that education, they have that doctorate behind them. But it still gives us the opportunity because everyone doesn't know everything.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly right. Old slide, Judy. Look at that label on that Pro-Argy.
I know this is a really old presentation, Bob.
I know.
Oh my gosh, I was going to change it and then I forgot. But yeah, we've done a presentation similar to this several years ago. Gosh, many years ago, here on Saturday morning, actually. But so I just love this, though, that no is our vitamin. So if you look at someone saying no to you, it can really be an impetus, right? To say, oh no, that's our vitamin. Nitric oxide is our vitamin. And when we believe that it is the best and most efficient way to improve circulation, it gives us that feeling like a vitamin does, of energy and passion. And so that's what no does.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're so lucky these days, looking back when we had no materials to share with people today. We're so lucky because we can just go to oursynergyfamily.com and send people any number of little videos or PDFs for them to take a look at to learn about nitric oxide therapy. Back several years ago, we did this primarily through meetings, one-on-one with people, which, by the way, is I love those meetings that we used to have. The conversations were awesome with people. And, we were overcoming objections all the time, but in a very, very positive way in groups of people who are like-minded people. I mean, I used to go and do presentations in Mesquite, Nevada, Las Vegas, all over Utah, Montana. We did a lot of meetings back then, and people loved it. It was awesome. But nitric oxide therapy is key. And so having that opportunity to share the skill level, because of our skill level improvement, to share these things with people was just awesome. And you didn't have to be a PhD, you didn't have to be a scientist or a doctor to learn about endothelium, about your vascular system, these kinds of things. We really kind of taught each other as we went along the way, and of course used Dr. Ignaro and Dr. Cook for resource along the way. So yeah, nitric oxide, it's the vitamin we go to, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we are talking to someone, how do you know what that person is thinking about, what is on their mind? Where there are some things that could be present. And these 4 things here really are some of the main things that people are thinking about as they're listening to you.
Yeah. The other one is cost.
Oh, right.
I learned a long time ago, I'm going to get the elephant out of the room as quickly as I can. And like if I'm sending someone an email and throwing in some videos for them to look at or whatever, because they've asked for some information, I take a moment, and there's a paragraph in that email that I'm sending to somebody, and I'm like, I'm getting the elephant out of the room right now. These are the costs. This is what it's going to cost you. This product is not expensive. Not when you think it through from start to finish, and the value that we're talking about here. Not only do we have that 120-day money back guarantee, but the cost is not expensive because of the value of the product. And I write it right down. This is if you bought 4 boxes, if you get a jumbo in a box, I just lay it right out there. And now we have the advantage with customers, if they want to subscribe and get on an auto ship or a subscription, that's another advantage that we have. But I try to deal with that cost thing right away with people, so because they're thinking in their back of their minds, okay, what's this going to cost, right?
Right. And sometimes people don't like to ask questions. They get they're confused. They don't have enough information, and they don't want to ask questions. And or they're just trying to figure out what's going on. So they'll say something just out of context, just so they can buy some more time. Or sometimes, I don't know if it's happened to you, but I speak to a lot of people in the health industry, and so they want to show you how smart they are,
right,
about things, and saying, oh, well, that might be true because of this. And so, there's a lot of things that our prospects, potential customers, can be thinking. And I think it's our responsibility to figure out what that is. Because we can't overcome an objection unless we know what that objection is.
Yeah, that's why we need to listen more. The confused mind always says no. That's just how life is. When you're confused and you're not sure what's going on, you're going to step back and put your hand up. It just makes sense. But yeah, that's why we're supposed to listen more and talk less.
Absolutely. And according to Eric Worre, where a lot of this information was, some of this information was taken from, there are basically 2 main objections. And the first is a limited belief. And that limited belief is, I think it's about trust and not willing to open up, believing that I know what I know, and what I know is right, and that's all that there is. And
yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's okay. And really, when someone is speaking, remember that they are speaking from their perspective. It's about themselves, about who they are and where they are coming from, and what their world is about. That as the salesperson, we may know nothing about, especially if this is somebody new. I spoke to somebody yesterday, And he called me complaining that I had charged his credit card several times. And, this was his world. And he'd bought something in December, and he says, now I've got charges for 3 charges here for January. And I'm like, wow, let me get into his world, because I know I didn't charge him for January. He bought a jumbo +1. And this is a gentleman that I really didn't know. We had a conversation. He bought the product. And so after I got into his world and found out what was going on, he's like, oh, yeah, this isn't even from you. Here's a phone number I can call. Wow. Well, I'm sorry I bothered you. And we had a great conversation. But for me to just get into that place of, okay, let me get into his world and see where he's coming from. And then it won't be an objection anymore.
Sure. And people do really have limited beliefs about themselves in regard to what they can or can't do. One of those limited beliefs is, well, I can't do this. I don't have any friends. I don't know enough people. I can't talk to people, or, it just goes on. And a lot of times, people end up just beating themselves up about all the things they can't do, and that they limit their own belief. And those are some of the objections that we're always looking at, that we always deal with, helping people. This business of network marketing, working with Synergy Worldwide, even in general, is all about self-improvement. And I that's one of the things I love about what we do. I read more books about self-help and learning to be better at the things that I do because of Synergy Worldwide and this business model than I would have ever done otherwise. And I love that about the kind of business that we do. We learn about ourselves and improve. It's all about self-improvement. So yeah, there are these limited beliefs. And then of course, network marketing and product. People, like I mentioned before, my introduction to network marketing was with some Amway distributors. And they were actually, when I turned them down, when they got done with their lengthy spiel, which I had no idea where that was going at the time. This was a really long time ago. And when I said, I'm not interested in this, they were upset with me. They were less than kind. They, as one of Mel Cook, when he was leaving, he said something, well, when you're broke and destitute, don't be looking to me for any help, or some flippant thing like that. And boy, I just lost all my respect for those folks because of that. And so sour taste in your mouth about network marketing. Well, we get that, we understand that. And so that's an objection that's absolutely worthy of a conversation. And that's why Synergy Worldwide is so much more appealing to people than some of these other companies, because we don't just pound that key of you're going to get rich and all your wildest dreams are going to come true. We just don't do that. We have product that is so good that it's in the physician's desk reference, product that's so good, the efficacy is so good that we can give it a 120-day money-back guarantee. The products are remarkable, quality assurance. We have all of these absolutely positive, tangible things to show for the products we market. And so, that limited belief begins to melt just a little bit as we become better trained, more skilled at what we do with our business. We learn more so we can share better. We overcome those kinds of objections about the network marketing side, because it is a good business model, and the products that we market, because they are phenomenal products. And so we have some real advantages, I think, as Synergy distributors. We're in the right place doing the right thing. And everyone on this planet is concerned about their health. A lot of people are just concerned about where the next meal is going to come from. So we live in this wonderful first world country where it's not bad like that. But we have some real advantages, I think. Judy?
Yes, that is so true, Bob. And so what is our overall job when it comes to objections or talking about our product? And the two things that really come to mind is that it's about education. And we talk about it all the time. We've talked about it already on this webinar, that it's about educating and teaching the people about our beliefs, about what we know, about the experiences we've had, the experiences that our customers have had, to let other people know about how wonderful the company is and the product is, and to teach them a little bit about circulation and blood flow sometimes, and things that they may not have thought about.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, who ever heard of an endothelium? I mean,
I couldn't pronounce it when I first
yeah,
heard about it.
yeah,
The
exactly.
endo what?
Yeah, yeah. It's been a neat thing, and early on with our involvement with Synergy Worldwide, we had an opportunity to spend quite a bit of time with Dan Austin and Dr. Siva Arunasalam from the High Desert Heart Institute. Those were wonderful experiences for all of us, and I'm friends with Dan Austin. I heard from him not long ago. Had a little note from him, and Bonnie and I've had the chance. We went to the High Desert Heart Institute in Victorville, California, years ago, and Dan Austin took us on a tour through the facility. We sat with him in his office. He used to be did healthcare for Roy Rogers and Dale Evans back in the day. And we had pictures in his office of them. And I'm a cowboy at heart. It was fun for me to sit there with him. But I have a picture, Dan Austin and I standing in the lobby of the High Desert Heart Institute with a great big Pro Arginine Plus poster in their lobby. It's like a first line of defense for those heart patients. Now, they've created their own product, and that's fine. They have every right to do that. That's probably just based on finances or whatever. But the bottom line is that nitric oxide therapy works, and it works well enough that it's a first line of defense at the High Desert Heart Institution. So, yeah, we educate people. We try to help people to understand what it is that we're talking about, because again, everybody knows somebody with high blood pressure or diabetic or whatever issue, pulmonary issues. There's just so many things out there. And that's our job, and it's a good job. It's a good job. It pays in dividends.
It certainly does. And so here's the secret formula. And if you have your cell phone handy, this is a good slide to have so that you can remember when you're talking to people these 4 things that are so simple but so important, so that objections are not number 1, or there's not a lot of objections because you keep redoing this formula with your prospect.
Yeah, and I take note that the first thing is to listen. We have 2 ears to hear and 1 mouth to speak. And I mean, it's a little trite to say that, but you get the drift. People, you need to listen to what people have to say. Everybody has a story. Everybody has a concern. You listen carefully, interject a little bit here or there, but let people talk. Find out what in the world it is that an individual is looking for and what their concern is. And then, we don't need to be in a big rush. Sometimes it takes multiple touches, multiple exposures before somebody says, you know what, I want to buy some of that product. But once you've established yourself, kind of branded yourself, as it were, oftentimes you'll get a phone call months later from that individual. Hey, Bob, do you think that stuff you sell could help my mother? That kind of a thing happens all the time. But we're looking for those exposure opportunities, quality exposures where we can talk to people, where we can listen to what their experiences are, relate to them, and telling stories. Judy, facts tell, but stories sell. That's the bottom line there. People love to hear those stories that we have to share with people, right?
Absolutely. And then when you ask questions, then you start all over again, really. You're asking questions and then you listen again. Mm-hmm. And then you relate to them. Then you tell them more stories and then you ask them more questions until, they are starting to ask questions.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's really kind of where the magic starts to come into play. I used to show or give people DVDs to watch. That was a big selling marketing item that we had years ago. Were DVDs. You don't hand them to them, or a CD. We made a lot of CDs that were just like little podcasts, if you will. And people would be driving, they'd pop those CDs in and listen to them in their cars. But whenever I'd give one out, I would always say, take note of any questions that you've got, something that stood out to you about that DVD or whatever. And I was always most impressed that people, I would think that it would have been the interviews with the doctors or, those kinds of things, like with Dr. Siva, those interviews that would capture people's imagination. But mostly it was the stories from individuals who'd had positive results using nitric oxide therapy to address their problems. And those were the things that really captured people's imaginations, And so asking the right questions is really, really important, Anyway, it leads to that eventual, I want to buy some of this product. This is awesome. And that's where we're going with this, right?
That's right. And still, sometimes people have objections, right?
Yep.
It happens. And I know this is just some sampling. And I know in the workbook, Bob, there's some specific addressing some of these specific objections, right?
Yeah, they kind of focus on, in the workbook, they focus on expense or time. And those are two of the really the biggest objections with people. And I mentioned that before about the expense and how I try to get that elephant out of the room right away. And I don't tell people that the product's expensive because I don't think that it is. Now, I guess we have to determine that individually, but your health is your only true wealth. That's the bottom line. I mean, people will spend a gazillion dollars to try to get feeling better. My Bonnie got years and years ago, blew out the L4 disc in her lower back. It was a mess. And, $20,000-$30,000 worth of surgery later. And she's back on her feet. A few years later, happened again, only this time 2 discs ruptured. Again, I don't know how much money that cost. It didn't matter to me. What mattered to me was get my sweet wife back on her feet again. You pay thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to get your health back and to be able to be mobile again and do the things that are important to you. So from my perspective, figuring into your budget the cost of a jumbo in a box and breaking that down, it's going to last two scoops a day is going to last you 105 days. That's 3.5 months. You can break that down any way you want to. But the expense needs to be looked at, but I think from a positive perspective. And so, I talk about it all the time with people. I get right into here's what this costs and here's how you can get it a little bit cheaper. And you know what, if you get a couple of friends want to buy some product, you can, I haven't paid for my product in 10 years, my customers pay for my product for me. And so, I go straight for that. And then there's, of course, Judy, if you want to talk for just a minute about the time thing, or I already have a job, that kind of thing.
Well, and I think right now, Bob, that time thing is so relevant. Even though a lot of people are, working from home or, not working, people have a hard time grasping on how to manage their time. And I don't know if it happened because of COVID, but people that I talk to, that is such a big thing about having enough time to do things. I don't have time to see my friends. I don't have time to go out. I don't have time to do anything anymore. When in reality, we should have more control of our time. But it is a real thing for people. Or if they already are working, again, not enough time to do anything else. And Synergy really talks and addresses this about the time. So is there some time in your day that you have a few minutes? So this job is not a full-time job. It is not something that we have to do all the time, But if, how much money do you want to make and how much time can you spend? And I can tell you how much income will result in that effort. And so, those kind of discussions with people, or finding out if is it really time, or really is it being uncomfortable to put something else on their plate. So having that discussion about time and how to work around things and how to move things that are relevant in their lives, not what's relative in our lives, but what's relevant in their life, so that they can see it, is a great way to talk about how they can find the time to fit synergy into their schedule. And wouldn't it be great if at some point you could replace what you're doing now? And some people do, everyone doesn't, but some people do, that you can work less at what you don't like and work more at what you do like.
Yeah, it's a tremendous goal, but perspective is a reality for people too. And if people feel like, I just don't have time, and perhaps they don't because of the way that they structure their time. But sometimes just, the simple little things that you can share with people with respect to time management can make an enormous amount of difference. How long does it take to go into oursynergyfamily.com and send an email to a friend, a little short little note, and then send them a couple of videos? It takes a couple minutes. So if you set little goals for yourself from day to day, I'm going to spend 15 minutes today getting some information to somebody, that kind of a thing. You can do that now, and anyone can. It's just a matter of how you structure your day. But most synergy distributors just do it part-time. There aren't a whole lot of synergy people that are working full-time on their synergy business. Very few. The rest of us are just doing it part-time. And so, you have to be able to fit it in. And you don't want to make anybody feel guilty either, Judy. I think that's really important as well. Someone has some concerns or objections, or these time issues. You don't want to add more to their plate. If they're feeling overwhelmed, just give them some information. Be positive, be kind, and we have to be bold, but we need to be humble as well in our approach with things. And so, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar, right?
That's for sure. We have to remember that it's about them. It's not about us.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So really, we really have the key for overcoming objections, for dealing with and helping our customers. I don't know anyone in Synergy that does not have a huge heart and wanting to help people make their lives better, either with their health or their business, in some way. The people that I know in Synergy have such big hearts. Isn't that true, Bob?
It is true. And a lot of us, I want to say all of us, but I don't know if that's true or not, but a lot of us have a bit of a mission in what we do. And that's just with regard to helping people. I mean, that's really, Dane says, you're doing people a favor when you introduce them to these synergy products, and in particular, an L-arginine supplement that can create nitric oxide. It literally can change people's lives. There's enormous value to that. And so I think we lead with our heart most of the time, Judy.
That's so true. And when we know what our why is, it's going to help us to express that and to help others see it. And we've got the best product, right? It's just the best.
Yeah. Well, I think it was this lady named Tiffany Peterson, and I don't really know who she is really. I've read some of her things, but she says she has the 4 SWs. Some will, some won't. So what? Someone's waiting. And it's an interesting thought process.
That is so true. That is so true. And when we go through this process, we create customers who are more than customers. And so many of my customers have become really good friends. And it's not just about the product, it's about other things in their lives. And, that's part of this business too. It's not only a sales transaction, but it is really creating a team with customers, with fellow distributors. How many people are listening to this recording right now that really may not be in your downline, Bob, may not be in my downline, but we get to make those friendships and get to know those people.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. It's awesome.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks, Judy. Such good information.
Whoops. Oh, I'm going backwards. No wonder.
Well, we all do that from time to time.
Yes, 2 steps forward and 1 step back. That's absolutely true.
Well, questions, anybody? Any comments or questions you want to share this morning? We have kind of a small crew on this morning. That happens some weeks, but in any event, we're sure pleased to be here. Judy, thanks so much.
Excellent.
It's always fun. Go ahead.
Excellent presentation, Bob and Judy. We've all been hit by Scamway, and so 51 times, and I just had my 51th time about 2 weeks ago, and it's always such a lead-in. They always attack busy people that are doing things.
Well, right, because that's what they're told to do.
Well, it's pretty bizarre. It just never seems that it's honorable to be with Synergy for 12 years, and what both of you had to say this morning was absolutely stellar. So thank you. It just reinforces what those of us that know believe, that we're on the right path, heading in the right direction. I've always advocated wealth without health isn't much better than health without wealth. You need 2 legs to walk, and boy, do I ever know that.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. That's exactly right. Thank you, Ted. Thank you. Good. Any other thoughts, anybody?
Well,
Okay.
awesome. Well, thank you again. I appreciate the time this morning, Bob. It's always a joy.
Yeah, it is, Judy. Thank you so much. And on this coming Monday, David Munoz is going to get on our Monday morning call with us and tell us a little bit about his experiences there with this Costa Rica adventure. It looks like he's having a great fun down there already. And so he's going to get on with us Monday and share a few thoughts. And as we go into the month of February, I've mentioned this before, but I'm going to be over in Hawaii, and it's a completely different time zone. And for me, that call will start at 4:30 in the morning on Monday morning. So I'll be up at probably 3:30 in the morning, something like that, to get all my notes gathered up and make sure that I'm awake prior to that call. So through the month of February, I've got 4 different special guest speakers to join our call on Monday morning. And again, we invite you all to join us Monday mornings. It's awesome. It's a great way to start the week. And so we're looking forward to that. So going into February, but this coming Monday morning, join us and listen to David Munoz as he shares with us his experiences down in Costa Rica with this wonderful group of Synergy distributors. So thanks, Judy. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Bob.
All right.
Have
See
a good
you guys
weekend.
later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.